I'm Charlotte O'Hara, and I'm candidate for mayor of Overland Park. Well, I've been politically active for the last 20 years. I served in the House of Representatives in 2011 and 2012. I was the 3rd District Chair for the Republican Party prior to that. I ran for the County Commission Chair in 2006, and I ran for State Senate in 2012. So I'm obviously very interested in and have been very involved in the political process. I'm also a small businesswoman. I had a general contracting firm. I did residential construction, did a little developing. I own industrial buildings in Olathe. We also have a small manufacturing company. And I really had no reason to even think about running for Overland Park Mayor. But I was sitting in a public hearing for the Brookridge Development Project, which is a $1.8 billion project, and the developers requesting nearly $600 million in tax incentives, 103rd and Antioch.
Okay.
And I was sitting in the public hearing, and I was just very shocked at, let's say, the lack of hospitality that the city council had towards people that were coming in to testify at the public hearing. We were letting 3 minutes, but just that they just were, it just was more of a atmosphere of, oh my gosh, you know, do we have to listen to this? We've been through this before. And I think that that's probably one of the reasons, because they had approved this project 2 years prior, but there was a mistake in the notification to the school district. So they had to go through the whole process again. And to them, it was a slam dunk. Why are we here listening to these people? It's already done, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And I just found that very offensive, because the city council, obviously, they're the representatives of the residents of Overland Park, and they should be very welcoming to people, to listen to their viewpoints, and actually be open to their viewpoints and make their decision after they hear all of the evidence and inputs from both the proponents and the opponents. But that's just not the way it works. So that was number one. I thought, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable that they're not open and welcoming to people to come and talk to them. So then I did the background research on how big of a problem are tax incentives and abatements, these tax giveaways. And I was horrified. I was horrified at what I found. I mean, this hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars of tax incentives that are being given away in Overland Park. Prior to 1996, Overland Park never gave any incentives. Sprint was the first incentive that they gave. And the last property in that campus came off of the abatements in 2016. So that was a 20-year stretch. And because Sprint couldn't use all their office space, then that poured into the commercial office market, and for years really put a dent into the commercial real estate office market. So I really had thought that Overland Park had learned their lesson. Oh, not true. After I did my research, there's just a litany of projects that have been given tax giveaways in Overland Park. And so I thought, well, somebody has to stand up and somebody has to let people know what's going on, because this is making Swiss cheese out of our tax base. It's shifting the tax burden from these new projects that are given the tax incentives and abatements to existing businesses and to residential real estate. So it's a huge shift. And I understand the establishment is backing the current mayor, and this is a huge, the current mayor has been there since 1996 as a councilman, and then he was the elected mayor in 2005. So he's been on the commission or mayor for 21 years. And it's just the good old boys is basically what it is. That you scratch my back, I scratch your back, we know you, right? You know. Yes, Gina Burke is running for Ward 4, and then Debbie Taylor is running for Ward 3, and then the other challengers are David Whitaker, he's running for Ward 6, Channing Wolf is running for Ward 2, and then Logan Healy. He is running for Ward 1. Well, vote for the challenger, not the incumbent. Because it's just been too long that the same faces have been on the city council, and we need to change how business is done. Another issue is that they do not allow public comments at city council meetings. Yes, public hearings, by law they're required to do that, and if there's a special use permit, they ask if somebody wants to make a comment on a special use permit. But an open forum to bring your concerns to the city council, you're shut out. And all the rest of the cities, the school district and the county, they all have public forums and allow public comments. So I want to bring that back. And then again, like I said, because of this shift in who's paying the taxes, our property taxes have gone from 7.65 mils up to 13.8, while the big boys are given all of these huge, massive tax incentives. And it's just time to say no. Overland Park's a wonderful place to do business. Well, it's going to take some time. I would definitely, that's one of my goals, is to lower the burden on the real estate taxes for everyone, not just the favored few. But that's going to take time, and we're going to have to stop the bleeding. And how you stop the bleeding is stop giving these incentives. But these incentives run for up to 20 years. This is going to be a very long process, and it's just that if we don't start it, it's just going to get worse and worse. As I've gone door to door, I've knocked on nearly 2,700 doors, and as I've gone and talked to people, one of their major concerns is the number of apartment complexes, this rush to urbanization that the city council is approving, and this rush to urbanization is being financed by tax incentives. So, despite the fact that the public really does not want this density, they're paying for it through these tax increment finance districts, the fact that they're not paying sales tax on their construction materials. All of this is being diverted back to these projects. And I think that people would be horrified if they really understood and realized the level of... there is now a new corridor study. We have Vision Metcalf, which cost us $1.1 million, and now we have $335 million worth of real estate under tax incentives within that corridor. Well, we have a new corridor study, and that is on College Boulevard from Metcalf to the Convention Center. The City Council has publicly come out and said that we need to increase density in that area. Because the Convention Center is too isolated. We need to bring in more retail, this, that, and the other. So they're doing this study with Mark. Well, Mid-America Regional Council, in their documentation, they stated that Overland Park is now the most densely developed city in the metropolitan area, and they congratulated the City Council on that goal attained, because it has been a goal. And but people do not want this. They are horrified as to all of these big apartment complexes. So the density means more people per square mile. Basically, the philosophy of the current city council is stack them and pack them. Sustainability is the big watchword for this city council, and this density is all part of this program that they bought into, and that's the direction we're heading. Number one, I believe in the market. The market works, and when you give these huge tax giveaways, you're skewing the market, and you're encouraging development that perhaps the market really does not want. I'll give you an example. 135th and Knoll is a Starbond district, that's Prairie Fire, so they have retail, residential, and they have this huge parking garage, and people really are not going to that area. Number one, the sales tax is too high, And number two, people hate that parking garage. They don't like the layout of the project, and it's falling on its face. I mean, they're having problems making their STAR bond payments. They're having to dip into reserves. That's been documented in the Kansas City Star. And within the last 6 weeks, they've lost another 3 restaurants. It's not working. And so when the city, central planning doesn't work. And central planning is exactly what the city is doing with these tax incentives. They're not allowing the market to work. So yes, I am a very market person. I would allow the market to work when developers want to do a project. Welcome to Overland Park, but we're not going to be underwriting your project because it needs to stand on its own merits. It needs to be able to be financed on its own merits. And don't look to the city as the lender of last resort, which actually that's what they're doing. They can't get the lending from the financial institutions, and they're coming to the city.
Okay, but
It is not the responsibility of the city to be underwriting these projects. They are basically guaranteeing public money. Whatever needs to be repaired or maintained, streets, sewers, street lights, public safety, we're diverting money from the core mission of the city to the pockets of the developers. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So yes, I am standing up and saying corporate welfare, crony capitalism, yes, it's great for the players, but it doesn't work for the community. And this is across the entire state of Kansas. Crony capitalism is costing us $500 million a year at the state level. I'll give you, the PEAK program is an example of corporate welfare just gone wild. This enables companies that are chosen to participate in this. The list is incredible. Incredible. Up to 90% of their employees' state income tax. It goes into their pockets instead of going to the state coffers. Need I say more?
how is that possible?
Welcome to the state legislature.
Wow.
Star bonds are the exact same thing. I mean, I voted against them when I was in the state legislature as a House member, but I think there were only 30 out of 125. I mean, this cuts across party lines. This is not like a Republican Party issue or a Democrat Party issue. Democrats, Republicans, they all feed from the same trough, and they're supporting all this corporate welfare. They do. They wanted to put a gas station, convenience store at 105th and Metcalf, and I just happened to be at the city council meeting when it came up. And here it is, a wonderful corporate citizen comes in, wants to put in a facility that is needed in the community, and not asking for any tax incentives, and they were denied. And I just sat there and I went, what in the world? This is just incredible. But they have put so many stipulations on Quick Trip as far as to how people were going to be accessing it, and I can't explain it. I can't explain it. Here you had a wonderful corporate citizen wanting to come in. There's going to be sales tax, property tax, gasoline tax. This is a lot of taxes that would have gone into the public coffers and not into the pockets of the developers. I can't explain it. I can't explain it. It's just the way business is done in Overland Park, and it's accelerated. All of these tax incentives projects have just accelerated, and it's just time to say to the big boys, get your hands out of the cookie jar. And then we need to change the city council, because I mean, if the city council is offering it, the corporations are going to try to access it. I own industrial buildings in Olathe. I've used an IRB, industrial revenue bond. I totally understand how all of this works, and I think that is a real plus for me coming in as mayor, because no one can pull the wool over my eyes, because I understand how this works. I understand cost analysis. And by the way, the cost analysis, they come from Brownback's Commerce Department. and they're full of holes, and it's just ridiculous. I'll give you an example. Edgerton, Amazon has an 800,000 square foot warehouse out there. They have been given a 93% property tax abatement, so, which also means that they pay no sales tax on any of their construction materials of that facility. And because it's based on square footage basis of 21 cents, it's frozen for 10 years. Reappraisal will not touch it. So on the cost analysis, I got this from the Gardner-Edgerton School District, this information and documentation. On the cost analysis, it said it was going to impact the Gardner-Edgerton School District with 3.5 children with 350 employees. Fantasy.
Oh.
Fantasy. Absolute fantasy. You can say anything on those cost analysis. It's a scam, and the residents of Overland Park need to stand up and say, no more. We are a great city to do business in. We're a great city to live in. We do not have to pay people to come here to do business, so why are we? Elect me as mayor, and then vote out the incumbents. Vote for the challengers. It's just been the good old boy system for too long. O'Hara for mayor. They can call me 913-304-4148. I'm out walking precincts every day, meeting people, and the response that I've had at the door is incredible. We'll see you November 7th and see how it turns out.